In this video, I'm going to show you the exact system that I used to stop being a broke tattoo artist, living the pirate life, basically living tattoo to tattoo for years. Even though I made good money, I felt broke all the time. Now, the best part of the system is that it does not require you to stick to a budget, because I've tried to stick to a budget and I just couldn't do it. And this is basically a budget that sticks to you. So if you're like me and you're just not really that great with your money, or you just know that you could be saving more for the future so that you can pay down debt or back taxes, or so that you can buy a house and retire one day, and you want an organized and automated system to help you do that so that you can stay focused on tattooing and doing cool shit instead of stressing about money every freaking day, then watch this video to the end, or don't. Statistically, most of you probably won't. And how sad would that be?
Damn it, Wilma! I could have retired if only I had the attention span to watch that whole YouTube video from that obnoxious tattoo money guy.
Now, I call this system the Waterfall money system, and you're going to see why in just a little bit, but I'm going to show you the whole thing from soup to nuts, from scrote to throat. I'm going to show you exactly how it works so that you can start to do this yourself. And honestly, even if you just did this a little bit, it's going to help a lot with managing, saving, organizing your money. But I've also been helping tattoo artists with this stuff since 2021. So I've been doing it for a while, and I just want to show you what's possible for you if you take the time to watch this video and set up your own Waterfall money system. So this is Lana Kane, and when she first came to me, she couldn't save a dime. She was avoiding her taxes like the plague, and she was just full of fear when it came to money. And after putting the Waterfall money system in place, she saved her first $10,000, nearly 10K. And that's the cool thing about this, is I have seen so many tattooers that have never saved $1,000 in their life put this into practice and save their first $10,000. And real quick, I don't guarantee this is going to work for anyone. Everyone's results are going to depend on the amount of work they put in and your situation and your circumstances. But I can guarantee that if what you've been doing isn't getting you where you want to go, then doing something different will end up giving you a different result. I always say every system is perfectly designed to produce the result that it gets. So if your system is getting you a certain kind of result and you're not happy with that result, changing the system is what's going to change the results that you get. And that is what we're doing with the Waterfall money system. Here we got my man, Nick. He was very stressed when it came to saving, particularly for long-term goals like retirement. He also wanted to open up a shop when we first met. He's since then opened up his shop, and he was able to set up a clear, effective system that helped him save $20,000 in less than 3 months. Super proud of Nick and all the work that he's put in. Tina, I worked with her a while ago. She had a goal. She wanted to pay off all her student loans and get into a house. She wanted to buy her first home. That was the goal she set, and she sent me this DM just to let me know she had accomplished this goal. Huge feat. I mean, just that feeling of putting the key into your house, that feeling, I was just super stoked to see her actually knock that out. My man, Zach, I'm gonna tell you a little story about Zach real quick. So when Zach first came to me, he was hard on the pirate ship. He would go to Walmart with a backpack full of 20s, and he would basically put those 20s onto a Walmart card, and that was his bank account, essentially. He was in his 30s, and he had never had a bank account before. So I don't know what situation you're in, but I want you to know you're not alone. I've seen it all. I've heard it all. And so we helped him get off the pirate ship onto dry land. He was able to pay off $20,000 of debt and save $50,000 in 6 months. I've never heard of anyone. This is one of the wildest results I've seen. But again, he had never saved anything before this, and simply getting an organized system is what allowed him to accomplish this goal. Hannah is also near and dear to me. Hannah, if you're ever watching this video, you know I love you. Hannah was doing that whole binge saving thing where you save a bunch of money and then you spend it all. And then you save a bunch of money and you spend it all. And so she had saved up 3K, but she had pretty much spent that. She even at one point saved up $10,000 on her own. She managed to hit that. But by the time we ended up working together, she had completely blown through all of that. All right. Through setting up this system, she saved $40,000 for the first time in her whole life. And now the story doesn't end there. about a year later, she sent me this. Her and her husband bought their first house. And I just want you to see how crazy this timeline is, because she sent me this message on February 15th. We had started working together in July, right? She started putting our systems together in July of the previous year that she bought the house. So June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, she sent me this message. She saved $40K at that point. Then February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September of the following year of when we first met, she bought her house. I mean, it's like a little bit over a year. It's insane to go from having nothing in savings to being able to buy your house because you have a better system in place. This is what's possible by putting this waterfall money system in place for yourself. Now, I'm going to get right into the waterfall money system, but I know that some of you are thinking, why is this tattoo artist making YouTube videos about money? And honestly, if I saw me on the internet years ago, I'd be highly skeptical too. Like, what the hell is this guy doing? So just to give you a little bit of background as to where I'm coming from and why I'm doing this, I started tattooing in 2009. And after about 5 years, I realized that I've been making good money. Like, I was making, when I really sat down and looked at it, like 80, 90, sometimes over $100,000 in my early 20s. And I was like, where the fuck did all this money go? Like, it kind of blew my mind that I was able to make so much money, and at the same time, I didn't have any of it. And like, I was a little bit on the pirate ship, if you know what I mean. So like, I just had no idea where this money was going. And I knew that if I kept doing this, it was going to be a problem. And I looked at the tattoo artists at my shop. They were 10 years older than me, right? They were in their mid 30s. I was in my early mid 20s. And I just saw that they were basically doing the same thing that I was. They were just as miserable as I was. They were just as broke as I was. And it kind of freaked me out. Like, it was a little bit of a like jarring reality check that if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to end up like them. And I didn't want that at all. And I knew that I kind of suck with money. I needed some help. And my mom had kept trying to tell me to read this book. Now, neither of my parents are that good with money. My mom's an artist. My dad's a philosopher. They're not financial people at all. We grew up very middle class. Like, we were okay, but I didn't have any financial education growing up. But my mom told me to read this book called The Richest Man in Babylon. And I highly recommend it. It was written about 100 years ago. I'm just going to be honest. Like, there's some stuff that maybe didn't age so well into 2025. Little disclaimer, but the lessons in the book are really good. It taught money through these parables, through these lessons. And that was when I started to take money a little bit more seriously. I started to save 10% of every dollar, every dollar I made, every $10 I made, I'd save $1. I started to build these habits and start to get interested in money, really get my shit together. And that made it possible for me to then open up my first tattoo studio. I was sick and tired of working for other people and had my first $10,000 in savings. I was like, all right, I'm going to get a business credit card. I'm paying my taxes. Let's get a loan and let's do this. But with owning a shop comes dealing with taxes. And then I was starting to think about like retirement. And if no one does that for me, I'm just going to keep kicking that can down the road. And so again, I kind of had that reality check of like, if I don't do something now, it's just going to get bad. And so I got a financial advisor. And he kind of showed me what to do, but honestly, he was kind of terrible. Like, he didn't really teach me anything. I went onto the school of YouTube, and I learned a lot about finances on YouTube, honestly. And at one point in my journey, after expanding my tattoo shop several times, buying my first investment property, I thought man, someone should show tattoo artists how to do this stuff. But I was too busy tattooing, so I wasn't about to stop tattooing to I thought of maybe I'll become a financial coach. That's a crazy thought. But then COVID happened, and I had to shut down my studio temporarily. And all my friends who own shops in Brooklyn, all the artists, people were not paying their taxes. People had no emergency savings. I was comfortable. I had a newborn baby. I had, a wife and a baby to take care of, but I saw all these tattoo artists struggling because they had no savings. I saw lots of shops closing, And I just saw a future where all these tattoo artists are basically never going to be able to retire. They're going to have to trade time for money for the rest of their lives. I decided to use all this time during the COVID shutdown to study to become a financial advisor. I ended up getting my financial advisor's license and getting hired by a wealth management firm, continued to learn about how to manage retirement accounts and help people take control of their finances. But eventually I realized that what tattooers really needed help with was the saving and managing and organizing of money. So I no longer work as an investment advisor. I only do financial coaching and I do financial education and helping tattooers like yourself get your shit together. That's what I do. And I've been doing that for about the past 3 years. So that's why I'm here making a YouTube video to show you how to take care of this shit. Since I no longer work as a licensed financial advisor, I do want to give a quick disclaimer that this is not financial advice. The information provided in this video is intended for educational purposes only and does not take into account your personal financial situation, your objectives, your needs. And before acting on anything in this video, you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Please consult with a financial advisor, tax advisor, or legal professional as necessary. And with all that said, let's dive right into it. Now, just how I told you that The Richest Man in Babylon was a story that taught me a lot about finances, I feel that stories have this ability to teach us in a way that just boring textbooks and numbers can't do. So I want to tell you a really quick story to help you understand how you're going to apply the waterfall money system to your life, both now and in the future. So in this story, we have two tattoo artists. Let's say they're identical twins. They are the same age. They went through the same apprenticeship. They are the same skill level. They make the same amount of money, okay? And let's just call one of them Mr. Me Fund Me, okay? That's Mr. Me Fund Me. And the other one is Mr. GoFundMe. Now, I'm just going to say there's nothing wrong with asking for help when we need help. But if we're honest with ourselves, I'd rather be Mr. Me Fund Me. I'd rather know that I can take care of myself no matter what life throws at me. I have my emergency fund and everything like that. But in this case, we're going to look at the journey that Mr. Me Fund Me and Mr. GoFundMe go on. So they are in their 20s, and at some point in their life, they're probably going to be 80 years old. Now, the average age in America, at least, and it's different all over the world, and different demographics, I know, somewhere in the late 70s to early 80s tends to be how old people get, right? So there's a good chance, there's a better than average chance that you watching this at some point are going to be 78, 79, 80. It's a pretty good chance, right? And through your life, you're going to have different needs, wants, priorities, okay? Now, they're in their 20s and they're going through life and they're making some money and they're spending it and they're making it and they're spending it. And sometimes they have more and sometimes they have less. That's pretty typical. That was definitely what most of my 20s looked like. Now, the problem here is that they're both managing 100% of their own money. And they both suck at managing money. They're both terrible at it. They don't know what to do. It's as if they didn't know how to play the violin and someone just gave them a violin. They're like, cool, figure it out. And you're just like, okay. And then you just go through life and like no one knows how to play the fucking violin, but we're all somehow expected to know how to play the violin. So we just go around pretending like it doesn't sound like shit when in reality it does. That's basically what a lot of people do with their money, and that's what Mr. Me Fund Me and Mr. GoFundMe are doing. And in their 30s, Mr. Me Fund Me decides, I'm done with that. I'm done managing my own money because I suck at this. And what he decides to do is he's going to manage about 30% of every dollar that comes into his life. And he's going to have the other 70% of every dollar, every 70 cents, roughly give or take, he's going to build a system that organizes, separates, and does all this automatically. It tracks it. It tells his money where to go so that he's not the one telling it to where to go. Because at the end of the day, either we tell our money what to do or our money tells us what to do. So he's going to use a system to tell his money what to do. Let's see what happens, right? Immediately, his spending goes down. His income is the same as Mr. GoFundMe, but his spending has gone down because his system is putting this money into accounts for taxes, accounts for savings. And again, I'm going to go over all this, I'm going to show you, I'm going to map it out for you. But his system is doing this automatically. And we get into our 40s and our 50s, and Mr. Me Fund Me has decided, I'm going to invest some of this money. So it's now in the stock market. His money is earning him money babies without him having to trade his time, his energy. Meanwhile, Mr. GoFundMe is still trying to figure out how to play the violin. He's still just winging it. He's just, I don't know. He's managing all of it. Mr. MeFundMe is only managing a small portion, and his system is helping him. And now we get to retirement age. All right. And here's where we really start to see the big difference, because Mr. MeFundMe has been investing this money. And now, just so you're aware of like, what do you need to retire? Here's a little rule of thumb that you can use. Basically, based on how old you are, you should have X amount of dollars. So at age 30, you should have about half of what you make in 1 year saved for retirement. And the only way to hit these big numbers is usually by having some kind of compounded interest investment account. It's very hard to save half of your annual salary by the time you're 30 years old. So if you make $80,000 a year, you should have about 40K in savings. At 40, you should have 2 to 3 times your annual savings. At 50, you should have 4 to 6 times, that's that annual savings, 4 to 6 times your annual income saved for retirement. So again, if you make, just to make it simple, $100,000 at age 50, you want to have about $400,000. You want to have about $500,000 in your retirement account to be able to hit retirement by the age of 65. By age 60, 7 to 11 times. And to fully retire, you need 8 to 13 times your annual income in savings to be able to say, you know what, fuck it, I'm done working. I'm going to go to fucking Honolulu and enjoy the rest of my life and not need to trade time for money. That's what's required. So let's go back to this scenario. Mr. MeFundMe, he has his retirement savings. Mr. GoFundMe has never really figured it out. Sometimes he has less, sometimes he has more, but he's really just treading water. And so Mr. MeFundMe can now spend all this money as he is in retirement. He can travel, he can do what he wants. And unfortunately, Mr. MeFundMe is forced to continue to trade time for money. That's how this works. That's the purpose of the system. I want you to be Mr. MeFundMe. That's what I want you to do. And now at any point in your life, you don't have to be in your 20s or 30s or 40s. Wherever you start this, that's the best time to start it right now. Right now is the best time to put your system in place. So the problem that Mr. GoFundMe had, it wasn't that he didn't make enough money, because he made the same amount of money as Mr. MeFundMe. But Mr. MeFundMe had a system in place that regulated it. It basically constricted how much money he could spend because it organized it for him. And this is what everyone does. They go through life thinking they need to make more money. So they keep focusing. And I have worked with people that make $10,000, $12,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month, and they still think they need to make more money. They're still so convinced that that's the solution. And it's like trying to fill a bucket with holes in it, thinking that if only I have more water, then I can fill this bucket. That's the problem that this system is going to solve for you. So if you're ready to plug those holes, I'm now going to show you the exact accounts that you need, how to set it up, and how you can take control of your financial future now rather than waiting around until it's too late. And like I said, even if you did this just a little bit, it's going to reduce your stress. It's going to help you stay organized. It's going to help you save money consistently. So this is kind of the map, and I'm going to show you what each one of these circles represents. They're essentially, each one of them is a type of an account or a system. And at a minimum to do this, you need 5 bank accounts. Some of them are going to be checking accounts. Some of them are savings. And I really look at this system like a coil tattoo machine. Now, depending on when you started tattooing, I don't know if you've used a coil machine, but when I used them, I would always get frustrated that they weren't tuned properly and they would start to get hot. And when you have electricity running into this machine and it isn't properly or efficiently distributing that power, that electricity, then the power escapes the system and the frame gets really hot and it's miserable. It's miserable tattooing with a coil machine that is out of tune. That is like your waterfall money system. If it is out of tune, your money is going to escape your system. And so not only do we have to put these bank accounts in place, but we have to tune it to automatically manage this money for us so that more of the energy, more of the money, more of the electricity stays inside the system and the frame doesn't get hot. To do that, this is going to separate, it's going to clarify, it's going to save, it's going to invest, and it's going to track money automatically. This is key that we get as much of the system automated so that you're not the one in charge of it, because the more of it that you're in charge of, the less efficient it's going to be. So, starting with 3 accounts: your business bank account, your personal living expenses account, and your personal spending account. This is where all money is going to go into the business account, and then it's going to automatically be distributed into the living expense account. That account covers your rent, your utilities, your subscriptions, even things like groceries. You basically spend about the same every month on groceries, give or take, unless you're like flying off the handle with Grubhub or something like that. You want to basically calculate how much money you need for all those things, and weekly, on a regular basis, transfer a portion of the money you're making into your living expense account. And that way, you know when you have like an auto draft coming, but you're not really sure how much money's in your account, and so you like don't look at the account because you don't want to know, but then you spend it and then you overdraft the account. Yeah, I don't want that to ever happen to you again. So by automatically separating your regular reoccurring living expenses into their own account, and then you have a separate account for personal expenses. So when you want to buy rollerblades or fidget spinners or whatever the fuck you spend your money on, you don't have to worry as to whether or not you have enough money. You can check your personal spending account and you'll know immediately if you have enough, and you won't overdraft the account. So again, you want to keep all your business expenses separated, your living expenses separated, your personal expenses separated, and automatically transfer money into that living expense account. You can manually put money into the personal account. Then you have 2 credit cards, and this helps with flow. Now, some people don't use credit cards well, and you can take the credit cards out of the system. But I find that when you earn irregular income, having a credit card, again, I pay it off every single month. And in fact, my system is tuned to pay it off for me automatically. But it helps when some weeks you make more and some weeks you make less. You can float some of those expenses on your business credit card or on your personal credit card if you're getting groceries. Again, if you know that you're not the type of person that does well with credit cards or it stresses you out, you can take those out of the equation. I just find that they can be useful, especially when you're starting to automate some of these things, because if you make a regular income, it can be a little bit stressful to automate your finances. And you want to have taxes in a separate account. So here we have business expenses, taxes, living expenses, personal spending, and then 2 separate credit cards. This is the basic foundation of the system. If this is all you did, this would heavily reduce your stress around money, because you would automatically know that you're saving for taxes and you're separating money for living expenses. Then we want to focus on savings. And I like to use a separate bank, a whole ass other bank. And I want high yield savings accounts because they're going to earn interest. Again, I want my money making me money babies. You will set an automatic transfer, again, automatically to that account. And you can have different savings accounts for emergencies, for buying a house, for vacations. And so I like to dial all of that into the system. Again, if I know I'm going to go on a $2,000 vacation a year from now, or over the next year, I'm going to spend $2,000 on travel, I'd rather break that up into small weekly bites and then automatically transfer that money into that account. Then once we've got that whole system down, you want to look at investing and retirement accounts and that kind of thing, those long-term things. But you can't invest if you don't have an emergency savings fund. It's too risky, because God forbid you needed the money and the accounts were down or the stock market was crashing, you'd be forced to sell stocks and lose money. You don't want to be in that position. You don't want to be stressing about it. That's why you need an emergency savings fund before you ever start investing your money for the future. Now, these last 2 accounts up here are actually not bank accounts. They're just systems that you need in place. One of them is a credit card processor. It makes it easier for your clients to pay you. It makes it easier for you to organize money. It is so worth paying the credit card fees. And I know there are other ways to avoid credit card fees, but even if you pay the credit, it's just so much easier. Your clients like it. And the easier it is for you to accept money, the easier it is for you to make money, the easier it is for you to organize, save, and automate your finances. So if you're still cash only, you probably can't use this system. The next system you need is you need a system for bookkeeping. I'm going to talk about what that is in just a second, but you basically need a way to track what your business income and expenses are so that at the end of the year, when you do your taxes, it's not a fucking nightmare. You're not handing your accountant a whole stack of papers and it doesn't really make any sense, and you're probably overpaying in taxes, or you're committing some sort of tax fraud, and you don't want any part of that, which is why you need bookkeeping. Now we're going to optimize this system. So once you have these bank accounts and you've started to automate and separate your finances, you want to optimize this for efficiency. Again, it's like a coil machine. The more efficiently the energy is traveling through the system, the more powerful, the more reliable, the more consistent the machine is. That's why I look at this like a coil machine. So anyone that is making upwards of $80,000 a year, again, after expenses, net income, after expenses. So maybe you make 100K, you spend 20K on your business and supplies and tattoo machines, you're netting 80K. S corporation is one of the easiest. It's an election that you give to a business entity like an LLC. It is one of the easiest ways to save money consistently for the rest of your life on taxes. I do not like giving the government my money. I fucking hate giving them my money. I want to legally fuck over the government by using these systems, these business entities, these tax elections, and an S corporation. It's a little bit hard to set up in the beginning. Actually, I'm not going to lie. It's kind of a total pain in the ass in the beginning to set up. Once it's set up, it runs smoothly just like anything else. You barely ever think about it. It's just automatically in the background helping your money avoid taxes. That's it. You want to get a tax advantaged investment account. So there's regular investment accounts that have minimal tax advantages to them, but there are other types of accounts, particularly retirement accounts, health savings accounts. If you have kids, a 529 college savings account where you get to put money in, you get to avoid paying taxes on it in the beginning. Sometimes you get to avoid paying taxes on it going in and going out. Sometimes it's just in, sometimes it's just out, but making good use of these tax advantaged accounts is how you're going to keep more of the money that you trade your hard-earned time, energy for. That is the best way that I know to avoid taxes, is through an S Corp and a tax advantaged account. Then your bookkeeping, you honestly want to use a program like QuickBooks. There are very few companies I plug, and I'm not like a fan of Intuit necessarily, like whatever, but this truly is the best bookkeeping software there is. I'm just trying to make your life easier. I'm not sponsored by them. It's the one that I've been using for years. And if you find that taxes are a nightmare every year at the end of the year, you need to have some automated system that organizes all of your expenses into categories for you. It clearly separates and makes it easy to understand. I can pretty much prepare my taxes in about 4 hours at the end of the year. Boom, done, easy, no stress, hand it to my accountant. I know exactly what I'm going to pay. Super easy having that system in place. And like I said before, you want high yield savings accounts, not just any kind of savings account, but a high yield. You can go to a website called nerdwallet.com. If you want to look at different options, you can compare interest rates and that kind of thing. So again, you want your system finely tuned to the point that you're only managing about 30%, 40%, 30%, the more tuned it is, the better, of the money that comes into your life. And now at this point, you have basically two options, okay? You can either, option A, start setting up your system on your own, and a lot of people are out in the world trying to get their shit together, get it organized, and they'll improve a little bit, but they kind of end up just bobbing around up and down. And so the other option is to actually get some guidance and some help with this stuff. And I'm just going to be completely honest with you, and you don't have to ever work with me personally, but no one that buys a house, no one that retires, no one that accomplishes big financial goals figures it out on their own. No one does. The way they do it is they get help from someone that has more experience than they do. They seek help. And maybe that's their parents. Maybe it's a mentor. Maybe it's a coach. I don't know. But no one does this stuff on their own. It's complicated. It's like trying to learn to play the violin. It's like trying to teach yourself to tattoo. So For anyone that is looking for some help with this stuff, I just want to tell you an easy next step you can take if you're interested in getting some support from me. Again, you don't have to get support from me, but for anyone that's interested in that, I'm just going to share a little bit of information on how you can do that. So for anyone interested in taking the next step to get some guidance around this stuff, I do offer a one-on-one financial future session, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about. But just to be transparent, my financial coaching clients are usually making a minimum of around $7,000 per month, only because it's easier to automate your finances at that level. Under that, it's something that you can start to do on your own, especially over that amount. It gets more difficult. The more money, more problems, right? So if you're not there yet, I do have a ton more marketing education videos on YouTube for tattoo artists. I highly recommend you check those out. But if you're at that point where you're already doing 7K, 10K, 15K per month, and you want some help organizing and taking control of your financial future, then that's what this session is for. So the first thing we're going to do together is we're just going to take a look at where you're at right now. How old are you? Income, debt, taxes, all that kind of stuff. We don't need perfect records. In fact, you don't need to come with any records. Most people I work with don't really have much of anything. I'm going to ask you a couple questions to help you clarify your current situation. Most people really aren't really sure where they're at when it comes to their finances and their current financial health. So that's what the first thing we're going to do is determine what's your financial health situation right now. Then we're going to take a look at, all right, what are your goals? What lifestyle are you looking for? Do you want to grow a business, start a business? Are you thinking about buying a house in the next year, 2 years, 5, 10 years? And what are your thoughts on retiring? Do you know what you have to do to get there? And so that's the third thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about what you need to do to get to each one of these goals. So you're basically going to leave this call knowing exactly where you are, where you want to go, and what you need to do. From there, I'm either going to give you a homework assignment, send you on your way and say, okay, go do that. Or if it's something that you feel you need some more help and more guidance with, we can also talk about what it would look like to continue to work together. Obviously, I've worked with tons of people, hundreds of tattooers all over the world. This is not just US based, by the way. So if you're in other countries, I've worked with people in Mexico, in Germany, in the UK, in Canada. So in case anyone is watching this and wondering about that. And so if you are looking for that kind of help in building out a system and dealing with your relationship with money, not just practical and tangible stuff either. I get into the emotional, the energetic, even the spiritual stuff that we don't want to look at all the time. If that's not your thing, then maybe my work isn't for you. But I like to look at that whole deeper relationship with money. If that's what you're looking for, then this is probably a good fit to get you where you want to go. This is probably a good next step. If that's the case, I do charge for these sessions. It's an hour-long session. Again, you're going to get clear on what your next steps are. It's $125. If that works for you, then you can just scan this QR code or hit the link. I really look forward to getting to talk to you. I love doing these sessions. And I just want you to let you know, I have fun with people. I've laughed, I've cried, I've done it all on these calls, and I look forward to getting to meet you and see your situation. And for anyone that's like a little bit like, I don't know, this is a new thing for me. I don't know about booking a call with some tattoo artist money guy I found on YouTube. I just want to share Bud McPherson's experience. I got to work with Bud at this point, maybe like almost 2 years ago. He is an incredible tattooer, traditional tattooer from Hawaii. He owns a shop. And I just wanted to share his experience because he has a family, he's got kids. He was struggling. He was also really, it took him a while to warm up and say like, all right, like let's meet, let's talk. Okay, let's come back to this. And then eventually we did end up working together, but it took him some time and I just wanted to share his experience with you.
I've been burned before, you know what I mean? I've lost plenty of money when I'm trusting people that I barely knew, let alone somebody that I didn't know at all, who's on my phone. It can be very intimidating. And I'll be honest, it was hard for me to take that step. I walked out of there with every single thing that I wanted to walk away with, and plus about fucking 25 other things. Mainly the Waterfall system. It just changed my life. I sleep so much better. At the end of the month, my stack is just, it's not just gone. I walk away feeling so organized. And I've never felt organized with money ever in my life, dude. Ever. The only way it won't work is if you just fucking don't do anything. You know what I mean? If you're here and you're listening and you're taking the notes and you're doing it, yeah, I recommend this shit to anybody. Anybody who is dealing with cash flow fucking stress, future stress, how to generate more revenue stress. Anybody who's just feeling stuck, you're going to be a different person when you're done with this shit.
So that was Bud's experience of hopping on a call with me and getting to work together. But if you're not ready for that step, I have tons of free resources on Instagram, on my YouTube channel and podcast. If that's doing the trick, great. If you feel like you'd use a little bit more hand-holding and guidance around this stuff, that's what I'm here for. Either way, I hope that this video was helpful and informative, and I hope that you start to put your own systems in place that help you get to where you want to go. And until next time, I'm Ryan Roy, and peace out. Ooh, peace out. No one says peace out. Fuck.